Welcome back to the CNR recap. I'm Griffin Aldrich. Alongside me, we got Andrew Quinn, Daniel Miguel, and Carl McDonald. Welcome, you guys. Big win for the Boston Celtics tonight. I tell you what, this was the most fun I've had with a game all season yet. And I'm gonna stop it right there because in the first, at halftime, I'm like, we're down 20 to the Pacers. Like things can't get any worse. However, what a comeback. And this is a prime example. Like I was even gathering my thoughts at halftime. I'm like, if things continue to go this way, it's gonna be another Milwaukee Bucks game where it's a team that, they're not as talented. They're low in the Eastern Conference, but they were just having a hot shooting game. However, the Boston Celtics came out and had a phenomenal second half. Again, final score 95 to 103. But what are our initial thoughts? We'll go Andrew, Carl, Daniel, and we'll go back to myself. What are your initial thoughts after this big comeback win from the Boston Celtics?
Yeah, I mean, you said it right there with comeback. A lot of the times it's the Celtics that are blowing these leads and losing these games that they should be winning. So it was nice to see them kind of flip the script. I think early on, defensively, the Celtics were kind of losing the Pacers in transition. They were kind of not rotating well, getting out to shooters, but they found a way to really figure that out once Mazul just pulled the starting five. He said, "We're not doing this." I love that Mazul decided to take that stand and put in those young guys to kind of build some momentum back. And then the guys off the bench just set the tone for the rest of the game, giving Jaylen Brown the opportunity to take over towards the end of the game. So very happy with them fighting through adversity, finding a way to change their play style, finding a way to change their game, and just ultimately end up with this win. So very happy that they fought through it and came out successful on the other side.
Yeah, what about you, Carl?
Yeah, pretty much I would have to agree. Really looking at this team, honestly, I would have not been surprised if it was another Milwaukee Bucks situation where we could easily win this game, but I guess not try it. Try not hard not hard enough to, get it done and stuff. But again, this team, always finds a way to surprise us. Again, we talked about previously yesterday how this team shouldn't even be in the position that they're in, with them being in the third seed, being one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. But to really do what they did, and again against the Pacers too, because this isn't the first time they've done this against the Pacers. Obviously, when we had that dominant team back in 2024. I felt like during that second half, I was getting flashes of that again, not just with them coming back from that massive deficit, but also even smaller details like Jaylen Brown's three from the corner again. It really brought me back. Yeah, it really brought me back, to those good old days. And to see them somehow in some way navigate themselves out of a position in which they should have really never been in, but at the same time, it's the Pacers, and us fans have been warning other teams and other fans about them for a while. It's really cool to see them quite literally rebounding, the whole defensive prowess. And I was hearing too how Sam Gasol was really getting on them to focus and to, really come back and do something, which thankfully they were able to figure that out, especially when we got closer and closer to closing that deficit and nothing was happening. So a great win for the Celtics, something that they should be very proud of, and hopefully they can use that as momentum going into their next matchup against the Pacers and future matchups they're going to have with the team along with other teams.
Yeah, what about you, Daniel?
Oh yeah, well said by everybody else. I really like the take that Andrew had. Usually it's the Celtics that are blowing those 20-point leads. It's usually us that are like taking the foot off the gas, and then the other team just like comes in and does their thing. And now it's a close game when we're down three or whatever. I'm late in the game, but it felt good to be on the other side of it, where we're the ones that are like, oh, almost giving up, and then um getting that strength to push through and make the comeback. And it's moments like this that make me realize why we should be like really glad and really happy to have Missoula as a coach, because he Carl, you said it perfectly. Like um him being able to just like take out the starters, put in that bench, and have the bench do the work, which they did. That was really important to us, important to the win, obviously, because the bench players did their thing, came in, did what they were supposed to do offensively and defensively, and it helped us with the win. And also, it also makes me realize what the kind of leap that Brown has taken, obviously in the absence of Tatum or being pushed from being the second guy, or like at least tied with Tatum, to being the first scorer or the main scorer for the team and the leader of the team. It's games like this that make me realize he is the leader of the team, and he is the guy that's supposed to lead this team in points. Not only points, just intensity, the level of intensity he brings to the game, and just his IQ, which is considerably high compared to like other players. So yeah, this game made me realize that all the things. And also made me realize the bench we have. Like before the season, we're thinking, oh, like this is gonna be a developmental year. Like play the guys on the bench, play the scrubs. But they've really turned out to be almost as good as the starters in some games, and even more important than the starters in a game like today, where you see guys like Garza or Hugo Gonzalez come in and put in a really good shift offensively and defensively, and that helped us with the win.
Yeah, and I have to say, I love what you said, Carl, with Sam Cassell, hyping up the players. And I and Daniel, you just mentioned it too. With that second unit, coming out, Joe Mazzulla pulled the starters, right at the beginning of the second half, when he's like, all right, they're not getting it done. We're gonna have other guys step up and do it for them. Because it reminds me back to, I don't know if you guys remember, and I don't exactly remember what season this was, but we play the Milwaukee Bucks, and I remember I he pulled Tatum and Brown out and the rest of our starters, and it was like Sam Hauser, Pritchard in there, and we almost came back against the Bucks. I think it was like a 30-point game or something like that, and we were coming back, but it was too good to be true. I think this was the 22 season. I'm not sure. I think so though, but 22 or 20, I think it was 22 or 23 maybe. But that was a highlight to me, and it was kind of the same thing. The bench came out and they did it. But do you guys have any other thoughts about, the Celtics play before we get into the quarters?
Yeah, it's we just know this, and it's what makes Missoula such a good coach. He's not afraid of hurting egos. He treats these guys like they're any other player, and he's going to treat you the same way across the board. And for Missoula to be able to just say, "Hey, we're taking you out. I don't care," and set the tone. To me, that's where Missoula stands out. Guys, you can critique him on X's and O's. I thought he actually had some great actions tonight, really getting guys open early on and throughout the game, really switching up on the Pacers, making them kind of get confused and not get familiar with the offensive sets. I thought Joe Mazzulla actually did a phenomenal job tonight in that area. But what he really brings to the table is this mentality of presence, staying in the moment, making sure you're focused on the next on the current play, not the next, and just continuously going at guys. And that's what we did tonight. And to me, it starts from the top down with Joe Mazzulla with the head of the three legs, the head of the snake.
Yeah, well said. You guys have anything else before we get into quarters?
Just a little bit more, what Andrew said there. Yeah, Joe Mazzulla, and what Daniel said earlier as well. Fantastic, job. I will never have anything bad to say about Joe Mazzulla, because he already knows exactly, how his team operates. He knows not only how they operate, but he knows what really gets them going. And if pulling them out is going to make them, work like this, then he's going to do that. And he's going to, especially to the guys who are starting the game too. So it is great to see. Yeah, like you said, Andrew, he doesn't care if he's bruising any egos. We got to get a job done, and we got the job done because he was able to show that leadership and show that, hey, if you're not going to get it done, then these guys can get it done, which furthers those guys even more too, especially when they were just seen as developmental or enhancement talent for this team for this year.
Yeah, another thing that stood out to me too, and maybe that was because Joe Mazzulla pulled him out as well, but I thought, yes, the refs tonight weren't the best. I think they were not playing, they were not doing it too well. Nemhard had a lot of attack fouls called for him that could have gone either way, in my opinion. And then the Celtics on the other end weren't getting the call. So, I don't think the refs did a great job tonight. But I do think early on the Celtics were getting a little too hung up on calls, shaking their head. I think not to, pick people out because it happens. But Derek White got pissed off, did a little tried to back tap Siakam, and Siakam got to the rim very easily. It's those kind of plays early on that really, really impact your rhythm and impact the game. And who cares? You're not shaking your head. It's a foul call. I understand. Obviously, I don't think they reffed the best game tonight, but to me, it seemed like as the game progressed, we decided to just ignore the calls and just move on to the next play. So that was something that I was very happy about.
Yeah, I agree 100%. But I want to get right into this because, you guys see, this was the Pacers game pretty much the entire game, and the Celtics stole it from them in the fourth quarter. So I want to get into it. Pacers' biggest lead, 20 at 122 in the second, kept that momentum going. And the Boston Celtics' biggest lead was 10 with 41.7 to go in the fourth quarter. But the one things I want to highlight is that first quarter, the Pacers obviously destroying the Celtics in that first quarter with a score up 35-26. And you see the same fashion in the second quarter, 26-17. And the starters were not doing it for the Boston Celtics. And one thing I love is how the energy shifted at halftime. And again, we talked about it. You could kind of still see, if you look at the third quarter, you kind of still see the Pacers were still doing good. You see that blue still rising. But then right where it takes that big jump, it's as soon as the bench was in. And you kind of see, I wish we had a highlighter on here or something, but you kind of see where that hill kind of starts to drop. That's where the bench came in. And the Boston Celtics won that quarter, obviously 31-21. And then in that final quarter, kept the Pacers to 13 and scored 29. And the Boston Celtics were hot in that fourth quarter and played phenomenal defense. And one of the players who did that was Hugo Gonzalez, and he was phenomenal tonight, giving the Celtics a final score of 103-95. But do you guys have any thoughts about that, looking kind of at that differentials and looking where the Celtics kind of won the game? And it started right where the bench came out.
Yeah, I think obviously the clear one is Joe subbed them out and these guys came in and they started playing and they picked up the pace. But what I thought was really, really important that the decision Joe made was he could have left those guys in let them play out that last half and then put it back in the starters come the fourth. But I thought Joe did a good job of noticing that they were getting a little tired. They were putting a lot of work in. They had momentum, but you want to get the return on the investment. So Joe Mazzulla made sure to pull those guys out when they started to he really pulled them out when they were at the peak performance in that half. And I thought that was a really good decision on Joe not to just leave them in and really have Brown and other guys kind of feed off that momentum before they went into the half, before they went and finished the quarter. So I thought that was a really good sub decision from Joe Mazzulla.
Yeah. Anyone else have anything on that, though, before we get into player stats?
Furthermore, just agreeing with Andrew there, going back there, Jaylen Brown, again, you don't get him again having that moment that he had in that first game of the conference finals in 2024 with that big three if Joe Mazzulla doesn't sub him out. And you don't get Keita too also, on the glass too. So small things like that happened, which resulted in this big win for us because, again, Joe Mazzulla was just doing his job and doing more than just his job here.
Yeah. Daniel, you
And
got
not only that, but also, I mean, I agree with those takes, but I think it's also good just to get the bench guys going as well and get them some minutes and just see what happens, see what they can do, see the ceiling they can reach. Because there are games where like you'll see the eighth man or the ninth man finally get some minutes, and you're like, oh, I didn't know he could do that. That's because he's getting the chance to play while those starters sit for the moment for those 3 minutes or whatever. So I think it's just also good to have those bench guys and those developmental pieces like get those minutes and see what they can prove to Joe and the rest of the team.
Yeah, and shout out Shireman for coming in and knocking down that huge three. You know, on the stat sheet in the box score, you may see Shireman few minutes, not a lot of points, but that three is huge. And to be on the bench, to be cold, he keeps that back brace on. He keeps the warmth on his lower back all the time. I always see that. So he stays ready. But to hit that shot when you're cold, when you haven't seen the floor the entire first half, that's a huge momentum swing for a team to see a guy that you love. Like the Celtics, the bench, I think really does appreciate Shireman, and whenever he gets in, he does find a way to bring some momentum. So to hit that shot, that's huge.
Well, I'm even happy you said that because I was going to mention that when I did the Celtic stats. Again, didn't do a lot on the stat sheet, but like if you were watching the game, that was huge. And especially like, you saw from earlier in the game, the starters were not doing it. And I want to point out Anthony Simons too, who only played 17 minutes, not a huge sample size, but he even was very efficient tonight, and he was able to come in and get the Celtics off to a hot start after the starters kind of weren't doing anything, and that was very impressive to me too. So there's a lot of guys to really point out that actually like really contributed when needed most, especially.
Mm-hmm.
But do you guys have anything else before Andrew goes over the Pacers stats?
All good, all good. But I'll start off. Siakam, 25 points, went 9 from 18, so an efficient night. 4 for 7 from beyond the arc, and 6 rebounds, 3 assists. So all around, great performance from Siakam. I mean, he's a talented player, and I don't think he gets enough credit across the league. I know obviously he was in the finals last year, so he did get kind of the lights were shining on him. He was on the big stage, but I still don't think he gets enough credit for the things that he does and the caliber of player that he is. And then Nemhard came in early on. He was creating on the offensive end. I thought he was doing a really, really good job at making the Celtics make mistakes on the defensive end, finding shooters from behind the arc, and just and really creating for the Pacers on that end. He shot 50% from three, but I personally think as the game went along, the Celtics started finding ways to kind of shut him down when it mattered the most. So that was Nemhard's game. Mathurin, 16 points, 9 rebounds, high volume. He had 20 shots from the field, but only shot 35%. Mathurin, I'm a big Mathurin fan. I've always thought he's got that athleticism to him. He can defend pretty well. I think he's pretty tenacious on the offensive end. Like he wants to go at it with people. He's not afraid of the bright lights, but I don't know. There's something about him. I feel like he's got this extra, like maybe he lacks a little consistency where you want to see from him, but hey, that's fine. That's fine with us. That's fine with us. And then they had guys like Ethan Thompson with 13 points, and then like Jay Huff and Jarris Walker like struggled from offensive end, and so that's kind of the Pacers overall. But good job shutting down Jay Huff and their starting center. So good job from obviously that starts with Keita and Garza from the defensive end.
Yeah, and for the Celtics, we already mentioned Baylor Shireman, but a guy I also wanted to highlight was Josh Minot, who got the start today. And I think we've been so happy about Jordan Walsh because of the performance that Minot had today, and I think it's safe to say that we prefer him as a bench piece rather than a starter. Played 9 minutes, had 2 points, wasn't getting things going for the Celtics. Hauser again had kind of a rough shooting night, only shot 25% with 6 points. Simons, who I already mentioned, had 11. He was great when the Celtics needed him most. Keita had 8 points, 8 rebounds, looked very efficient tonight, not shooting completely well, but still did a little something. But Hugo Gonzalez, who I really want to spotlight, tonight his defensive presence was felt and they trusted him throughout that fourth quarter too. And, it wouldn't shock me on nights, I'm not saying Walsh is going to be out a while. I think because of the illness, it wouldn't shock me if they kept starting Ugo if you had no Walsh, because tonight, he doesn't give you a lot from the offensive side, but again, shot 60% tonight. So not bad, but 6 points, 11 rebounds, and 2 blocks, a steal, and an assist. I mean, and a positive 21 plus minus. So very efficient from him. Pritchard only had 11 points, 5 assists, 2 steals, 3 rebounds, and shot 33.3 after coming off of that CNR MVP. And Garza, again, we just did that big man talk yesterday, Carl, Daniel, and I. So go check that out after you're done with this. We did a live yesterday, but Garza coming off the bench again, 6 points, 9 rebounds. I thought he was very efficient tonight, and we could go around, or if you guys want to chime in any, what you guys like from Garza tonight? Because I liked how he was playing tonight. I really did, and I've been loving what he's been doing from the Celtics. And, again, we talked about that opportunity with Raptors. That was kind of his big last shot, and he's continuing to prove himself on a night-to-night basis. Again, played another minute more than Keita, and it's just hard to take him out because he's doing so good when he's in. What are your guys' thoughts on that, though?
Yeah, I think Garza, I loved his just run into the rim, crashing the glass. He was always boxing out, making the Pacers making them struggle on that end. If he wasn't getting the rebound, someone else is getting the rebound. So I was really, really happy from that perspective. And other than that, just in the right spots, doing the right things. Not playing out of his game, not doing too much. I mean, it's not crazy on the stat sheet, but he was just doing the right things and playing within the Celtics offense and contributing in all areas.
Yeah. Does anyone else have anything on Garza before I continue to go?
Yeah, I
much.
think.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's all good. I think
You go first.
I mentioned it last night, and I think it was just if you give the player enough chances, they're eventually going to acclimatize to what they're supposed to do and fill in their roles and do like the right things and make the right plays. And I think I mentioned this last night. The rotation with him and Keita has been working really well for both of them. And I think tonight was an example of both of them just getting out there, almost similar minutes from both of them, and they're both doing a good job offensively and defensively. So I say we keep giving both of them chances, especially Garza, because now he's picking up. Now he's starting to get that momentum. So don't slow down, keep playing him those 25 minutes a game, and because he has all to prove and he can play to that standard that Missoula likes and the rest of the team likes. So yeah, good game from him.
Yeah. And what about you, Carl?
Yeah, pretty much what Andrew and Daniel said before. That's a guy, as we talked about yesterday, pretty much a guy that has proven himself. He did that with the Raptors game, and he continued to do that with tonight's game, playing well defensively, getting his shots offensively as well, that being great, but mainly the rebounding, something that we really needed. And he was great in that. Also, Gonzalez was great in that too. And to see Garza, being that piece for us, especially when Keita is not on the floor, is absolutely fantastic. And again, it reinforces the point much more that, hey, this is a guy that I want long term. I want him to be there when we win another championship. I want him to be there to start some games when Kada can't start. He's really developing and coming into his own as a main Celtics big. So keeping him there and further developing him even more is just going to be a great thing on the team's end, his end, and of course on our end.
I love that. I love that. And I want to continue going up the stats, and because you guys gave a great perspective on Luka Garza and what he's been able to do. But I got to mention next Derek White, who started the Celtics out with a big three and continued it going in the fourth quarter, but had 19 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, a block, and shot 43.8, positive 9 plus minus. And lastly, Jaylen Brown, who really at first we were concerned about. And you guys concerned about those 7-4-1s now because they talked on the Celtics broadcast. It almost looked like a Zion. Are we scared about? I just hope everything goes well. We wait for the Christmas special because Maurice Holmes even talks about how building your own brand is important, and you don't want that happening with your own brand. So you gotta fix that fast. I gotta say, I love JB, but 31 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, 2 blocks, and shot 44%. He was very efficient in that fourth quarter. But you guys have any other thoughts on that before we go into CNR MVP voting?
No, he's fine. The shoes are fine.
Yeah,
I don't whatever shoe. I don't even care if he's wearing foam paws. It's his foot's. He's too explosive. No matter what shoe he's wearing, he's breaking in. So it you just next shoe up. No one's moving like JB. So
you find those 7-4-1s.
Kids rocking 7-4-1s. You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
We support those 7-4-1s here. We support them. But any you guys have anything else before we go into voting?
No, all good. All good here.
Go ahead.
One thing I gotta mention is the rebounding again before we go into it. 49 rebounds for the Celtics, 36 for the Pacers. Very impressed on that standpoint. But Andrew, we'll start off with you. We'll go to Carl, Daniel, and myself. Who do you have tonight for CNR MVP? Can we give a little drum roll to start it off? Do you still have the drum rolls? I'm sorry for putting you on the spot, Andrew.
Oh wow.
Andrew's like, not right now. All right, who we got, Andrew?
Oh, I should have had my answer ready once the drum roll finished. That's my bad. I think I'm gonna go. Look, last game I said Hugo needs a better performance for me. I'm not gonna lie. I saw him on the glass today, grabbing rebounds, intensity. I think he was the biggest proponent in that little run they had to bring the Celtics back. And if you don't have that, you don't win this game. So let's go Hugo Gonzalez tonight.
I love it. Carl, who do you have?
I'm going to second that. Hugo Gonzalez. I'm very high on him. That's a guy who, rarely has bad games. And to see him, go from his last game to now, really showing out and improving, giving you those defensive plays, those rebounds, and having a plus minus. The fact that he now is leading, rookies in plus minus 2 further shows the value that he has. And so, I say he's tonight's MVP. Daniel,
who do you got?
I had a different answer coming into this, but I just remembered that.
Give it to us. Give it to us. Nah, it's all free because I might have a different answer too. So give it to us.
I'm gonna go Brown, but you guys just made me make a really close decision because that steal in 2 blocks, his defensive work is so underrated amongst rookies, and it's it's crazy how good he is defensively, and how much of an improvement he's made in his game. But I'm gonna give it to Brown. I'm still gonna give it to Brown.
No, that's fair. I mean, that's
so. All right, I was gonna go Ugo. All right, and I'm going Ugo for the sake of it, and that was my original answer. But you guys kind of twisted me a different way. I wanted to give my vote to the coaching staff, Joe Mazzulla and the coaching staff for tonight.
Something different.
Now that we know that's an option.
I thought it had to be
just
a player.
Give it to Sam Gasol.
Well, that's could we? I
Just
don't
go
know.
to the Celtics. We just give it
Let's
to
go
the
to
Celtics.
MVS then, most valuable staff.
All right. So that doesn't really count. So my real answer, like my like credit that I'm like, all right, we gotta give a vote. I give a vote towards the coaching staff because I think, pulling the starters to kind of shift the energy was so important and the reason we won this game. But player wise, it was Hugo Gonzalez for me. I mean, the 11 rebounds and just being able to do this even as a rookie was so important. So I'm going Hugo Gonzalez. Can we get a little drum roll for Hugo? Oh, claps. That's even better. That's even better. Let's go.
Congrats, Hugo.
Hugo, but Hugo Gonzalez, rookie, first CNR MVP. Wow. This is big. This is big, guys. But do you guys have any final thoughts before we close this one out? Again, Celtics win 95-103. Final thoughts, you guys. Let's go around really quick. Any final thoughts?
I got no final thoughts, but Merry Christmas. This is the Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. This is the last live that we're live doing before the Christmas day and all that. So Merry Christmas, everyone, and hope everyone has great holidays, enjoys their family time, and get some good presents from Santa.
Christmas.
Yes, sir.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I have to say, yeah, this is our last game before Christmas. Not last game of the year, but last game before Christmas. Carl, you have any final thoughts before we close it out?
We'll continue to glaze. Hugo Gonzalez was great. He did this with 4 fouls too, so just love him.
Love it. Love it. Daniel, you got any final thoughts for us? Oh, did we lose him? I think he's frozen. I'm not
We have a heartbeat, Daniel?
Oh, Lord.
I think Daniel's frozen, you guys. So don't mind Daniel, but my final thoughts again. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, everyone. And again, way to do it. We don't get a game on Christmas this year, but make sure you guys look out for. We got some content going tomorrow. We're going to be dropping the Jalen Bridges interview, so go check that out. And then also on Christmas, make sure to go check out the Oh, there we go. See, we lost him right there, right at the end. But make sure to go check out the CNR Christmas special. So make sure everyone to go watch that out. Again, happy holidays, you guys, and thank you guys for watching. See you guys on the next one. I love the bells, right?
Did you end it?